Hello and welcome to the grand finale in this Baltic Crypto Adoption Week, where we have had separate live events for Estonia, Lithuania, and for Latvia. Today we have a very inspirational and interesting discussion. We will see the numbers compared within the Baltics, but also compared with the Nordics. And we will have three shorter panel discussions, one for the local thought leaders and business leaders in the Baltics, one where we also look at the business opportunities for the service industry, the exchanges, the other one that are building solutions. And we will also have a talk about the associations and how we can collaborate across the countries to move the industry forward. And we will then just want to also thank you for all the sponsors and partners that have supported both the survey that has been performed in all the Baltic countries, but also supported these live events. So thank you very much. And one of them is Nordic Blockchain Association, and we will then welcome to the stage Jakob Mikkel Hansen from Nordic Blockchain Association. Welcome, Jakob.
Thank you very much, Morten, and thank you very much for hosting it.
Yes, and I thought that you could then explain what is Nordic Blockchain Association, and the second part, what is the relationship and your views about the Nordics and the Baltics?
Yes, yeah. First of all, and very short about Nordic Blockchain Association. We started out 10 years ago, originated out of Copenhagen, where we're a bunch of people within the industry that thought that we needed to have an industry organization. We are now expanded and really try to keep it Nordic. So we're active in more or less all the Scandinavian countries. We operate with three different tracks. One of them is education and data. So being part of reports like this, we need to have data to have something common to talk about, both internally in the industry, but as well with external parties. Then we do a lot of meetup and conferences. So meetups, things like this with the industry, or like what we do next week, like a roundtable with the industry and the Danish FSA. And then we do a yearly conference. So for us as well, when you said about Scandinavia and the Baltic, we kind of see it as one big region, New Nordic. And we really want to make sure we got a strong ecosystem. We think from a global perspective, one country in our region is not going to be able to compete. I think all the countries in our region have some very strong, unique selling point each. And if we find a really good way to work together, then I think we can create a strong regional hub, which is just not Denmark or Lithuania or Norway, but actually a region where there's different possibilities and different positive things of being located in some of the countries, but being in the region would make you a lot stronger. So we really hope to foster more cooperation between the countries in our region. And I can see you added the conference. So one thing is online things, but we do yearly conference as well. This is our 8th annual conference. This year is going to be in Stockholm. We're expecting 1,000 plus participants, 100 speakers, 15, 20 roundtables. We really try to make sure this is just not speakers. This is as well where people can meet and actually talk about something. So we got public elected attending, national banks, larger non-crypto blockchain companies attending as well. So we really see this as a way for us to unite and meet in person here in the region.
Yes, thank you very much, then, Jakob, and you will also participate in one of the panels later today when we are talking about the collaboration between the different associations in the Baltics and the Nordics. And then we will add to the stage Vetle Lunde and Magnus Jones, because these guys are the ones that are cracking the numbers and trying to find out what they mean. So take it away, guys.
Thank you, Morten. And warm welcomes, everyone, to the comparison report. We have now done 3 surveys in the Baltics and 4 surveys in the Nordics. So we have a lot of big data to compare and contrast, and can see some interesting patterns between the regions and between the independent countries within the regions. So it's a lot of data to digest and cover. We will try to be a bit effective and show it in a stylized manner. We have discussed it in detail in the per nation reports, but still this data deserves comparison between the countries. So let's just get straight to it. In the Baltics, we did ask 5 questions. I've mentioned them multiple times now for the independent countries, but it's 2 questions directed towards all respondents, whether or not the respondents own cryptocurrencies, and what the current value of their cryptocurrency holdings, and whether or not they intend to buy crypto in the future. Then we also asked 3 follow-up questions to respondents who currently own crypto. We asked them what cryptocurrencies they own, what the total value of their cryptocurrency holdings are, and where they buy and sell cryptocurrencies. For the Baltics, we had more than 3,000 respondents in the survey conducted by Norstat. It was all national representative surveys with people from all kind of age groups, living in different areas of the country, with different income situations. So it's a big, vast amount of respondents with different kind of demographics. So it fits all the criteria of being nationally representative. When we also include the Nordics here, we have more than 7,000 people responding to the survey. So we start to have some very high quality data and very high quality insights on the bigger picture stage of the crypto adoption. So let's get straight to it then. What we do see is that in the Baltics, crypto ownership rates sit at 10.6%. The average is being reduced somewhat by Estonia's 8.7% crypto adoption figure. This year marks the first year where we included Lithuania in the survey, and it popped up in the first survey as the country within the Baltics with the highest crypto adoption rate. For Estonia and Latvia, we have figures from last year. Estonia showed a small decrease in crypto ownership rates from 9.2% to 8.7%, a factor probably led by the poor market conditions over the past half year. Latvia, on the other hand, saw a modest growth from 11.4% to 11.5%. The growth in Latvia was demographically driven by adults aged 40 to 49, and also by increased participation from females. Converting these percentages into absolute figures to identify how many people in the Baltics and per independent country that owns cryptocurrencies, we find that 550,000 people in the Baltics currently own crypto, with Lithuania representing roughly half of the combined Baltic crypto ownership rates. When we look into other demographic criteria that we don't illustrate in charts, but it's still important to highlight, we see that a common denominator across all countries is that crypto owners in all of these 3 countries tend to be living in urban areas, and also that the likelihood of owning crypto within these countries is higher if you are a higher earner. So the higher monthly income you have, the higher likelihood it is that you tend to own cryptocurrency. So these factors, alongside the age and gender, are primarily the explaining factors behind who owns crypto and who doesn't.
And the classic scenery is that naturally crypto is more common among the younger generations, However, as for the ones who followed the Latvian and also the other live streams we have had this week, we see that maybe a little surprisingly, in Latvia and Lithuania, in the age group of 40 to 49 years, we have actually a quite strong percentage of 13.3% with Latvia and 12.8% with Lithuania, which is not necessarily that common and normal in itself. But still, we see also that Latvia leads the way in the age group of 18 to 29, while Lithuania leads the way with close to 21% in the age group of 30 to 39. And when we break it down to male adoption, we see that Lithuania is leading the way there with 17.2% of all male who owns crypto, Latvia at 14, close to 15%, while Estonia at 13%. And on the female side, we just heard in the recent live stream for the ones who were there that Latvia is clearly leading the way here with 8.5% of the female population who owns crypto, while from the crypto owners, it's as much as 41% actually. So Latvia is leading the way here, not only in the Baltics, but like we will see also in the Nordics in some other, followed by Lithuania here with 6.3% of female ownership, which is also a strong rate when you compare to others, like i.e. Estonia, who has only 4.4%. And we see also that the narrow gender gap is related to Latvia, where the female ownership ratio percentage of the total crypto ownership per country, like we just mentioned, is at a little bit more than 41%, while it's at close to 30% in Lithuania of the ones who owns crypto, while in Estonia it's down at close to 28% of all females who owns crypto. And on this side, when the graphs are starting to become a little bit more and more blurry in terms of being able to separate the different brackets from each other, but still we can see here as we have the trend curves of, in general, a younger generation who has the majority, where we have the males on the right, on the left side, while females on the right side. Having said that, we see actually that the ownership rate among men in age group of 40-49, which we clearly see from Estonia, is much lower with 13%. We see that the ownership group there in both Lithuania and Latvia are around 22%, and actually even close to the ones that is within the age groups between 18 to 39, which normally lays around here we can see of 25%. So that's an interesting finding to see on the male side. While also on the female side, we can see that Latvia is in clearly a unique leading position when it comes to the younger generations of women. In the age group of 18 to 29, we see that they are as much as 18%, while Estonia at 9 and Lithuania at 11, and that is also numbers that corresponds down to the Nordic ones, where all below 10% there. So Latvia is clearly also leading the way on the female side of the younger generations, while we see also that Lithuania is strong when we go up to the age group of 30 to 39 years with females, where they are at 15%, while Latvia is at 14%.
And then we see that there are some variations within the future expected crypto ownership rates within the countries. This tends to be linked with the crypto perception in the country. If crypto is viewed favorable, you are more inclined to expect to buy crypto in the future. This is impacted both by how the market behaves, but also how the public discourse around the crypto is developing within the given nation. And here we have seen some very fascinating changes between the two countries that we included last year as well. In Estonia, we have seen that 25% currently expects to buy crypto in the future, down from 30% last year. So it seems that the crypto sentiment is more heavy in Estonia this year than last year. Whereas the opposite change is true for Latvia, where future expected ownership rates has surged to 32% from 19%. So roughly a third of the population in Latvia expects to buy crypto within the next decade. Lithuania is close number 2, with roughly 30% of the population expecting to buy crypto in the future. And then a very similar pattern is true for all countries in terms of who the people who intend to buy more crypto tend to be, and who, like, the patterns are very similar. So more than 80% of current crypto owners in all of the Baltic countries expects to buy more crypto in the coming decade. There are a bit more a bit higher number of current Latvian crypto owners who expect to buy crypto in the future than Estonian, but it's still a very high percentage point of current owners expecting to buy more. Within non-crypto owners, the same pattern and distribution is true. Latvia leads the way, Lithuania is in second, and Estonia is in third position. But 20% to 25% of the current non-crypto owning population expects to buy crypto within the next decade. And then through our back of the envelope approach of calculating crypto wealth, which we have included several asterisks on in our presentations, but still provide some interesting benchmarks on what the value of cryptocurrency holdings are within the countries, we find that Lithuania is most likely the largest cohort among crypto wealth held in the Baltics, with $1.1 billion estimated of crypto values in Lithuania. Latvia is in a close second at nearly $1 billion, whereas Estonia has come in at $0.27 billion. These estimates are impacted by outlier results. Estonia in this survey had quite few respondents indicating that they owned the cryptocurrency for more than 50,000 euros. This might be a statistical anomaly, so we expect the Estonian figures to be a bit below what the actual numbers are. But it's still an interesting exercise and benchmark to assess the value of each independent nation's cryptocurrency holdings. And then if we divide this figure from the past slide with the adult population of a given country, we get a picture of the invested amounts per capita. And then through this approach, we find that per our estimates, Latvian people have larger numbers of wealth invested in cryptocurrencies than the rest of the Baltics, with the average crypto investments in Latvia per capita sitting at $630, compared to $470 in Lithuania and $250 in Estonia.
So to summarize in totality here, we see that approximately 550,000 people in the Baltics, equal to approximately 10.6% of the adult population of all people in Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, owns cryptocurrencies. And when we break these numbers down both in the numbers of percentages, but also of the actual owners. We see that Lithuania are on top with 278,000 persons, followed by Latvia with 175, while on percentages measured towards the population, they are very close with 11.6 and 11.5, while Estonia is on third place with 95,000 and 8.7% of the population. The average gender gap of the male-female ratio when we add all the Baltics together is that we have approximately 15.6% of all males in the Baltics who owns crypto, while it's an average of 6.4% of females in the Baltics who owns crypto. The crystal ball point of view leads us in a 10-year perspective to 2036 that on average 30% of the adult population in all the Baltic countries have expressed their interest to purchase crypto. That could lead in a 10 years time that we will move from 550,000 crypto owners now to approximately 1.5 million in 10 years time.
And then to showcase variations between both the Nordic and the Baltics, and also per countries in the Nordics, we will now summarize and illustrate the numbers on a per region basis and also a per country basis. Some of the percentages will be repetitive from the past few slides, but it gives context and comparisons across countries, also in the Nordics. So it will be interesting just to drill down into the numbers and discuss them briefly. So big picture, we see that the Nordics has a slightly higher crypto adoption rate than the Baltics. 11.1% of the adult population in the Nordics stated that they own crypto, compared to 10.6% of the adult population in the Baltics. If we look at this from per country measurement, we find a different kind of conclusion almost, with Sweden being by far the largest and most prevalent crypto owning population, but two Baltic states figures in second and third position, with Lithuania in second position and Latvia in third position. Then Norway and Denmark are approximately in line with the average for the regions as a whole, whereas Finland and Estonia lags behind the rest of the countries included in this survey.
And breaking it down to male and female ownership rates, we see that for the Baltics, as we heard, Lithuania are leading the way, while in general we see that the Nordics has slightly higher average of male ownership compared to the Baltics. Female side is clearly being led by Latvia with 8.5%, while also, as mentioned, Lithuania are strong with 6.3%, which matches the highest one in the Nordics, which were Sweden by 6.3%. Denmark and Estonia are equal at the same amount of 4.4%, while Finland has the lowest one with only 3.7%. And we see that when we break it down to the numbers of the actual crypto owners and the percentages of how large percentages they have there, we see that the females are also, like we mentioned previously, Latvia clearly leading the way, that among the crypto owners, it's as much as 41.26% who has crypto assets, while Lithuania is in a strong second place with close to 30%, actually followed by Estonia of 27.84%, while all the Nordic ones are below 24% and approximately at the same levels. And also crypto in itself, that remains in general when we compare the Baltics to the Nordics in age groups of the same trend that we see of the curve here, with stronger presence among the younger generations. While we see the 18 to 29-year-old groups are slightly ahead in the Nordics by 19.43% compared to 18.6% in Baltics, while Baltics are swapping that around in the age group of 30 to 39 by 19.2% versus 17.5% in the Nordics. However, in the age group of 40 to 49, we see a stronger split in the presence, where the Baltics is at 11.7% altogether, while the Nordics is at 15.17%. However, like we saw from the previous live streams, that we have certain countries like Latvia who is strong on specific areas while being pulled down significantly by others. So it's not a one-to-one, and we need to look into every country by country to find the correlation and relevance towards the differences that is being presented here.
And then expected future crypto ownership rates is also varying quite a lot across the various countries. Generally speaking, expected future ownership rates tend to be lower in the Nordics than in the Baltics. The full sample average for expected future ownership rates in the Nordics sits at 24%, whereas it sits at 30% in the Baltics. Latvia sees the highest future expected crypto ownership rate, whereas Lithuania and Sweden sits at approximately the same kind of level. Estonia more closely resembles the Nordic countries except from Sweden, seeing a declining future expected ownership rate this year compared to last year, and also with a percentage of 25%, more closely resembling what we see in Denmark, Finland, and Norway. And then if we do a wealth comparison across all of the countries, we can see that Nordics are very dominant in terms of wealth invested in crypto. The Nordics consists of far more inhabitants, so that's a natural explanation. But we'll later on also show that per capita basis, the Nordics is also shows a tendency of being in front. Approximately $26 billion are invested in cryptocurrencies by Nordic individuals per our estimate approach, whereas the same kind of approach leads us to $2.36 billion for the Baltics. If we then adjust for a per capita based estimation of crypto ownership rates, we can see that all of the Baltic countries figures in the lower end of capital invested in crypto, with Finland surprisingly leading the way, probably due to an outlier in this question. Finnish crypto adoption was the lowest in the Nordics, but it was quite a lot of the Finnish crypto owners who said they had invested quite a lot. So this impacts the overall results. Still, ballpark, the average Nordic crypto investment per capita sits at $1,130 per this approach, compared to $460 in the Baltics. Again, this looks into a subsample of the survey, but it's still an interesting way to highlight the differences between crypto investments across these two regions.
So to summarize it all, we see that if we add the Baltics and the Nordics together, we find that we have approximately 3 million people, equal to 11% of the adult population in all the Nordic and Baltic countries together, who owns cryptocurrencies. There we found that Sweden is leading the way, both when it comes to the actual number of owners and also in percentages of population, with a little bit more than 1.1 million crypto owners and 13.4%, while if we are breaking down to the percentage numbers, we see that Lithuania is on a strong second place with 11.6, followed by Latvia with 11.5% of the population. However, due to smaller population, we see that in terms of numbers of actual owners, Denmark is on second place with close to 500,000, while Norway is following up with 480,000, followed by Finland, then Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, who is on the lower side, also when it comes to the percentages, but where Finland is the lowest with 8.2%. The male-female ratio is that all Baltic and Nordic countries together, we have approximately 17% of all males who owns crypto, while it is 5.4% of all females who owns crypto among the adult population. Looking into the great crystal ball in the 10-year perspective here also, we see that estimately 26% of the adult population in Nordics and Baltics together are interested to purchase cryptos within the next 10-year frame. So that means that we could go from the estimate that we have now of around 3 million Baltic and Nordic persons owning crypto to a little bit more than 7 million looking into a 10-year perspective.
Thank you very much, Stan, for this summary within the Baltics, but also compared to the Nordics. And I thought that maybe you guys, you just hang out there in the panel discussions, because there can be questions, there can be comments, but we will then move on to the panel discussion. And just to show, there's a lot of people, thought leaders, business leaders, that we are going to invite to participate in this discussion. First about the local Baltic findings, then about more of the business and industry environments, and then the third one on collaboration between the countries, for instance, between associations. So we will then add to the panel several people here, and I will then give them a very, very short introduction when we all are there. I think that we still are missing Dorian, but things happen sometimes. We also had a question or a comment in one of the feeds that we have, that there are some laggings when it comes to the stream. If that is happening, for instance, on LinkedIn, maybe try it on YouTube or on Kaupr website, because it could be based on where the stream is, the destination of the stream, but it could also, of course, be based on some local bandwidth questions for anyone that are listening in. We will then continue and focus in the beginning with the similarities and the differences between the Baltic countries. And what do you think stands out here, Charlotte, if we could start with you?
Yeah, hi everyone. Pleasure to be here among fellow crypto business leaders and movers. I must say that myself, I represent a fintech that is not directly engaged with crypto yet. However, I'm engaged in many different communities and blockchain-driven communities, hence internationally. Hence, my first take after this presentation is I was surprised to see how equal we are across Nordics and Baltics in terms of the ownership of crypto. It was around 8 to 11%, which I consider quite equal. It was surprising to me a bit why Estonia the tendency is there to engage with crypto a bit less. Maybe Raido will comment there. It just the first thought, as I know that Estonia is very digital first, and so I wonder what's the mentality there. Or Misha maybe will comment on that. So that's my first impression.
Yes, then we can maybe hear from Raido your thoughts about that. You are muted.
Yes, okay. I haven't seen this Estonian crypto landscape since 2018, since I started to lead Estonian Web3 Chamber, which was called at that time Estonian Cryptocurrency Association. And I think I have an answer for your question. And I am not surprised myself, because you all know that there was a time when Estonia was a crypto El Dorado of the world. And we had 2,000 companies having a crypto WASP registration, virtual asset service providers. And then, to be honest, most of them only brought a bad reputation to Estonia. Most of them were scammers. People got hurt. That means that we had a hottest fire in the crypto landscape. And if you go too close to the fire, you get burnt. And probably this is the cause that when so many scammers were exploiting Estonian market, then many people got really personal damages from that. And of course, we had a wide discussion in national press and TV about how bad is this crypto. And, Estonians are pretty slow people, if you don't know that. That if they start to believe something, they will continue believing that. So it's very difficult now to remove this bad name, which was delivered for us. Not actually by Estonian companies, because those companies were Estonian only by name. Actually, those companies were owned by foreigners. And we still, at the moment, as we have 32 WASPs left in the market, but the sentiment has not been changed from the regulator side. So we are still kind of suspicious part of the market. And I was a part of Estonian national risk assessment document processing. And to be honest, interesting fact is that crypto risk level was actually diminished. It went down comparing with the previous one. But this knowledge is not something that general populace would understand. So short answer would be that because there was so much bad information and fights in press, so today Estonians who are not probably willing to learn themselves, like most people, if they have read those headlines from the articles, they still continue believing that crypto is something what is better to keep off. But at the same time, there are emerging new investment schemes in crypto, which are still blooming in Estonia, and Estonians just love to get ripped by those scammers. I don't know why, but this is what's happening. And as soon as some of those scam projects turns to be successful, the same happens, that crypto gets the bad name.
I didn't mean to, start to build like a bad word or bad fame, which is actually, I guess we have to say thank you for doing the job, for bearing these mistakes so that the rest of the markets can learn. And now the adoption actually can start after the tremendous work which you've done.
Thank you for the answer and the comments. Maybe you have something to add to this, Misha?
First of all, hi everyone, I'm Misha, I'm from CoinsPaid. I totally agree with Raido that Estonia was a pioneer in crypto regulation back in the days. I think we had like more than 1,000 licenses in here. I think Raido knows better those numbers. And then these companies did some nasty things. And then we had quite a big PR coverage of these nasty things, which also influenced the overall market. And I really loved how Raido said on an Estonian stream that sentiment is really connected to the government's or regulators' sentiment. If the regulator and the government says, please be careful with this, people will be careful with this. So these are my three points on this. And what was interesting for me is that Estonia, I think the only two countries that dropped in ownership and in future ownership are Estonia and Finland. So something is wrong in those two countries, went wrong. And yeah, this is the question. And it was interesting to see Latvia leading the statistics. And actually, we see from our merchants that are selling both in Estonia and Latvia that those merchants have more orders paid in crypto coming from Latvia than from Estonia. But actually, they market themselves much more in Estonia. So I think we will see more of this in the future.
Maybe we could ask you, Vetle, in general about the sentiments, because of course we are now in April 2026, and we have the last surveys for about a year ago. But in between, there has been the record highs, and we are not there now. Vetle, any comments on that?
Yeah, so given the context of the survey and how we ask the questions and who we ask the questions, we will inherently have a lot of impact from price movements in Bitcoin and also the crypto market as a general to impact the results. Perception among the masses is often quite associated with how prices have behaved. We conducted this survey in February this year and the last survey in February last year. In February last year, Trump had just been elected president, and we were all talking about strategic Bitcoin reserves and the massive developments the industry would face from there. But in February this year, when we conducted the survey, prices had slid 50%. And what we have seen in Norway, since we have done this survey since 2018 in Norway, is that these questions are somewhat sensitive to how prices have behaved. So crypto ownership rates in Norway declined when we did the survey in February 2019 compared to 2018. So throughout the bear market then, ownership rates declined. The same happened between 2022 and 2023. And we also saw the same kind of pattern emerge in Norway last year. So I think what we saw, albeit the movements were quite a lot bigger in Finland, but what we saw in Finland, Estonia, and also Norway this year is completely within the realm of what we expected to see in this survey, just due to the relatively hostile conditions that has been felt throughout the market in the past half year.
Maybe we could hear from you, Rainis, according to some of the comments that Misha had also, that you all the countries, as I understand, are coming more or less from the Wild West. Maybe it has been differences between the countries, while you guys in Latvia are really, really moving ahead. Both the numbers is showing it, the attendance of the UNBA conference, more than 2,000 people. So how are you going to help your Estonian friends to address this challenge from the authorities or whatever and move ahead all the Baltics?
Yes, Morten, I think we should really address the sentiment issue, because I think Raido already very well described how the sentiment emerged in Estonia in recent years. For Latvia and Lithuania, Romanas probably will tell more about Lithuania, but as far as I know, the sentiment is quite positive actually. And this was one of my big surprises regarding the whole survey, that despite the bear market where crypto is not doing too well, we do see larger numbers of adoption in different age groups. For Latvia, for example, especially 40 plus age group is growing, which is not your typical crypto adopters, so that's quite interesting. In the same time, again, usually some people also mention in comments that when there's a bear market, then crypto conferences are empty. Well, we saw with Unblock this year that we had 60% growth year over year on the terms of attendance of the conference, and despite the bear market. So this is I think the mentality and sort of the sentiment is driving this, and behind this sentiment is one, the adoption of MiCA regulation, which generally changed some of the mindset of media, mindset of some corporations and so on, because the European Union at the highest level said, guys, crypto is fully legitimate, and here is a set of rules which you need to take into account to work with it. And we see that that sentiment changing and throughout all the state institutions as well, like Latvian State Revenue Service, like a year and a half ago, published specific guidelines how you can accept crypto as a merchant, and things like that. That is really encouraging companies to adopt it, and then people to actually use their accumulated crypto and spend it. So I would really highlight this. Plus, one other comment: we see a huge growth in female adoption in Latvia. That is something that we also discussed in Latvian specific podcast. But this should be studied more, I guess. But my first comment is that Latvia, we have high level of female management positions in government, in top in ownership of businesses and so on. So that could correlate with the high levels of crypto adoption among females as well.
And then to Romanas, focused maybe then on the different similarities between the different Baltic countries, and you could also, of course, compare things to the Nordics. Please take your voice, Romanas.
Yeah. Yes. Hello, Martin. Hello, everyone. Lithuania is first time participating in this survey. It's pleasure to take a lead on that, and really the survey is really granular on the structure of the adoption. I wanted to highlight a little bit of the changes between three Baltic countries from another types of surveys. For example, Chainalysis crypto adoption survey, they bring another dimension of the types of users, like what they see from their networks and their big data, which is not so much, maybe representative due to some VPN usages and cross-country, infrastructures, but still it, surprisingly, brings a clarity with these differences in Baltic states. First of all, Estonia, according to Chainalysis survey, is more on-chain, more DeFi, more crypto-native, types of use. That's completely, in line with the findings. And Latvia is more on retail side, which is, like Rainy said, like the merchant activities is being seen through other measures of research of this technology. And Latvia and Lithuania is on the holders and the high ticket, ownership and less transactions side. So this is completely, fulfills our picture and what we see in this excellent customer survey. So this is could be explained also with several historical facts. Estonia was the first crypto enthusiast. They are now moving to the new enthusiasm of the DeFi and on-chain things. Latvia, like compared to Lithuania, has a different structure of banks and payment institutions, and it's more transactional, more about merchant integrations, means of payments, while Lithuania is sticking to the traditional ways to buy online. And maybe in Lithuania it is a home for Revolut, It is a home for. It was a home for Binance, and we all read local newspapers, and Lithuanians all know that somewhere in Vilnius there is the head of one of the big offices in these big crypto exchanges. Then it means that more trust for Lithuanians are for the big platforms where you just join and buy and hold. And Revolut is like becoming the next app all Lithuanians have, and there is an option for crypto to buy. And that's kind of exposure we see now in the Lithuanians in the survey. So things match, and we are on the right track with this type of analysis of the market. What I wanted to emphasize, quite remark about the frictions, of the ownership, which is the obstacles for the next wave of adoption, in our region, because we had a technology friction. Now it's pretty much solved with the wide, availability of the reliable platforms. Then it was a compliance adoption. Everybody were learning to trust the platforms and the infrastructures and crypto itself, and also to present their IDs and onboard and present more data on yourself, identify and verify on these platforms. Now we have another step, which is could be considered quite significant friction in this region, is a tax reality now, which is now becoming the new regulation with CIRF, the crypto assets reporting framework for tax authorities. And soon all the retail users will be learning that there is a hassle with the papers and with the annual declarations and reporting. Then we will have another wave of technology adjustment where the platforms and the infrastructure providers will help users with that. And we will have a second wave of adoption, and what's next, we will discuss maybe on the next, stage.
Thank you, Dan Romanas. And then to you, Duran, welcome. And you are representing one of the larger global crypto exchanges. And how do you view things that are happening in the Baltics?
Hi, thanks for having me. Sorry for joining a bit late. And hi to everyone. One thing that I saw in this report is that first, the market has matured in the Baltics just like it has in the rest of EEA. And that's something actually that has maybe even better worked in the Baltics and the Nordics altogether compared to the rest of EEA, meaning you're above 10% on average of crypto users considering the general population. Meaning crypto is no longer a new thing in the Baltics. It's really integrated. Now, one aspect that I am really interested in and that Kraken is really interested in is the institutional landscape that there is in the Baltics and the Nordics. How does it work? How does it correlate? What are people interested in when they actually create companies in this space? What we have seen when we look at it from our own angle is that there are lots of companies that wish to service the entire zone that choose the Baltics and the Nordics as a place to settle. In the Nordics, it's a bit specific. From my past experience, I've seen a very large focus on compliance, which actually made it very difficult for, I would say, foreign companies to settle and integrate. Whereas in the Baltics, it has a history of being much more open, and there is clearly a field to capitalize on, especially with the difficulties that are met in other countries in the space, especially with the larger neighbor Poland having its own troubles regarding MiCA and the European crypto regulation overall. There is a clear opportunity for that for this zone, just by proximity and the fact that I would say the network, it's already a common thing for companies to be settled in nearby countries and still service the whole area. That's not something new for the space. So there is definitely an advantage to be taken for that matter in the Baltics. And also I was looking at the numbers regarding the average, I would say, average amount invested in crypto per user per capita. And what we can see is that compared to the resources that people have on average in the Baltics and in the Nordics, Baltics people in the Baltics are more invested, more committed compared to their average wealth compared to the Nordics. So there is room to grow there to compete with other investment class assets in the Nordics. Definitely, like there is room there, especially with what we are seeing regarding tokenized assets, tokenized stocks, for example, to make this asset class worthwhile and worthy of attention of a new audience that is already investing. And that's actually one point I would like to investigate in the next editions for such a study, would be comparing the crypto investment to traditional finance investment, and how this compares among people both in the Nordics and the Baltics, and the penetration that we have vis-a-vis this kind of asset class, and if by 2027, the fact that we're tokenizing traditional assets will change the landscape and will bring more and more people to on-chain investment class of assets compared to pure TradFi, pure brokers, directly linked to stock exchanges, etc. And one last element is that there is a history of local brokers, especially in the Nordics, and that resonates with what I was telling earlier regarding the compliance aspect. So they have been the ones able to operate traditionally in the region because they have the know-how, they know how to address their own regulators, etc. Now that there is a more integrated regulation, it will be interesting to see how we can work better with these local actors, and also in some cases compete with them as a global actor like Kraken is.
That's really interesting, Dorian. And maybe just a question, because you are experimenting or rolling out tokenization of real-world assets, US, Europe. What is the status in the Baltics and the Nordics? Is it available to work to also invest in tokenized stocks and bonds?
Yep. So XStocks, for example, which is our flagship product for that, have all residents from EEA have access to it. So all kind of tokenized stocks and ETFs by XStocks are available now. So it's already like an on-chain way to invest, for example, in S&P and in NASDAQ, etc. All this is already available. Now what we are fighting for is to make it available and competitive, first in terms of fees, but second also in terms of, I would say, options for the product, which is specifically derivative products. So trying to bring derivative products for tokenized stocks on the platform.
Thank you, Dorian. It was not meant to be a promotion, if you understand, but still interesting to know what is moving ahead and what will happen in the next phase going, for instance, 1 year from now. If you look at the first 3 months now, the MiCA new grandfathering period is happening, maybe people could want to know what is the status right now in Estonia, in Lithuania, and in Latvia. Raido, as I understand, there's no companies in Estonia that has a MiCA license, but you still have a grandfathering period until the 1st of July.
Yes. We have in Estonia our own version of MiCA, which is a law called KRÜTS, or in English, Crypto Asset Service Act. And by this act, all current VASPs are allowed to provide service up to the 1st of July. Nevertheless, it looks like our competent authority, FSRA, is a little bit in a different opinion. We are going to meet with the new head of Estonian FSRA next Thursday, if it's 16th. Let me see. Yes, so situation is that in Estonia at the moment in process is about 8 license applications. And last week was sent to all the current WASP official letter by FSRA that if you don't have a license application in work yet, then you're supposed to send us your plan how to wind down your business operations. So situation is as it is. It came in Estonia like 2, let's say, very difficult situations collided at the same time, so that by MiCA, our current or previous competent authority, which was FIU, the competent authority was moved from FIU to FSRA. And let's say that if a new competent authority, all the practice, all the industry is strange. They have to learn themselves. Of course, they are capable of doing that. But to be honest, in my opinion, this was national level mistake because, and we as an association, we strongly demanded or asked that this change would have not made, because Estonian FIU at the moment, I think, is the strongest in Europe and also the best manned authority. They have about 100 people working there, and largely they were very well trained about crypto and how to license crypto companies. They had personal relationships or not in professional way with Estonian WASPs, and the system were starting to work after the very rocky beginning. And now we have two very special situations colliding, like FSRA is first time starting to manage or process those applications. And the second, the MiCA itself is a new. So, and Estonian authorities, especially after the Crypto Eldorado, they are really thorough about how to process those applications. So that makes that all the process already slower. And at the moment, the time is already critical, because if we are talking about some licensing process timeline, then 1st of July is actually tomorrow.
Thank you, Dan Ryder. And of course, these things that is happening is, of course, can be influencing the competitive landscape in the next months, even, because there are companies in the Nordics that are moving cross-country based on the MiCA license. There are also larger crypto exchanges, global ones like Binance, which hasn't any MiCA license at the moment. I think they have applied in Greece. And then we have, again, the situation in the Baltics. So what is the situation then in the Lithuania then, Romanas?
Yeah, so in Lithuania, as far as we see here across the community, there are several participants of the market that are now currently in the detailed discussion with Bank of Lithuania with no license yet, but like a stronger candidates. Already 4 licenses issued. Let's say, I wouldn't refrain from any prognosis how much to come, but that's not definitely tens of licenses in the short term. But the difference from Lithuania, from, for example, Latvia, that our grandfathering already ended, and the existing WASP regimes, which were, had to end in the December 31. So basically, a proper wind down was actually also articulated by the FIU in Lithuania, and this process took place actively in November, December, and the beginning of January to wind down these operations properly. and it's being closely watched. What in terms of the future regulation under MiCA in Lithuania, the rules of the game are pretty clear. We have much more focus on the non-resident shareholders and their check-up on the National Security Committee, maybe a specific difference among Baltic states. But yeah, if we are zoom out a little bit, on the global situation with MiCA in Europe, major like providers, at least to Lithuanian market, which are Bybit, which are Binance, and which are Revolut, they Revolut and Bybit, they already have MiCA. So basically, Lithuanian users are already covered majorly, with the customer protection of this new framework. And the Binance to come via Greece, according to rumors. So maybe that's not a big deal now, how much licenses and how much, it will be progressing. But in overall reputation of the region, the smaller players who might get also MiCA in this region, they will be servicing all over the Europe. It will increase maybe the trust in Baltic states. So this is my take.
Thank you, Romanos. And then a short status for Latvia. And we will take this information also within the next panel where we are discussing the industry. Reines, Latvia status on MiCA.
So we currently have two MiCA licenses issued and around 35 to 40 companies in the pipeline. Some of them quite well known internationally. So we hope to get some more good news quite soon. Generally, the regulator is quite open, and that is driven by political incentive as well to grow the fintech and crypto sector in Latvia. So I hope and then expect some good results in upcoming months. Historically, we did not have so many large companies settled in the crypto space in Latvia, but with the recent years of change and the change of mindset of the regulator, the political landscape, and beyond, I think that we will be quite competitive in next couple of months.
Thank you. Why I have underlined this topic is because it's not only a question about regulation, but it also has to influence the marketing and the strategy of the different companies, both within the Baltics and across the Baltics and the Nordics. And we will now move on to the second panel, and we will say someone will leave us for some while, and then we will add some new people to the stage. And just a minute so that I can have a little control of it. Just a minute. Yeah, I think I've had the correct panel now. I'm not had. Yeah, I don't. I'm missing someone. Just a minute. Jonas is the one that we are missing, and maybe he is there. Welcome, and I will just give maybe especially to the Baltic audience a little information about the new participant, because Torbjørn Bull Jensen, he is the CEO of K33, which is the Norway's largest crypto exchange. Not the largest one, but it's a crypto exchange maybe focused on high net worth individuals and large accounts. They also are listed on the Swedish stock exchange. Then Erik Westlund, he has been working in the crypto exchange. He is now the founder of a new company, and he is also a board member in Blockchain Sweden, which is moving to train and get businesses on board on the blockchain. And Jonas Järvinen, he is the Chief Investment Officer in Kvarn X, which is one of the largest Finnish crypto exchanges. And maybe we should start with you guys, the new ones.
Just quickly, I think you're missing Stig as well, my colleague
I
from
do.
LBX, and then Vetle and Magnus could be kicked out for a while. We heard enough.
And then Stig then is coming now. Yeah, the studio is limited to 10 persons, so then I will remove someone. Just a minute. Now I think we are. This is sort of a multitasking operational, obviously. So I hope that you guys can live with it. Stig, he is the CEO and founder of NBX, which is a crypto exchange working in Norway, but they're also listed in a Norwegian stock exchange, but they have also been exploring different types of business opportunities in the Baltics. That's why it is relevant. Maybe we could start with you, Torbjørn. Of course, we don't know about your strategy at the moment. You're waiting for a MiCA license in Norway, but how do you view the landscape here, both on the industrial level and on a geographical level?
So one thing is sure, that's the landscape is kind of rapidly changing. How it's changing is a little bit unclear. We have this hard deadline for MiCA approvals coming up, which is going to tell us a lot on how the different FSAs are actually treating the hardness of the deadline. Because as it looks right now, a lot of platforms will be shut down if it's actually kept very strict. But most likely you'll have different regulators finding ways to extend that grace period. The other thing that is happening is that the market is shifting where it used to be a very retail-driven market. That is completely quiet right now. Retail can come back, of course, should price start to move and there be a kind of more intense bull market. It can change, but that is a phase that is clearly on pause for the foreseeable future. At the same time, we see more and more companies coming in that are, for instance, using stable coins as a part of their operation, that are building a Bitcoin treasury more long-term. We work with corporate clients and private investors mainly. And I'm now starting to see suddenly businesses in real estate, in the lift service that are selling lifts, buying Bitcoin, using that as collateral and borrowing against their Bitcoin to buy more lifts, combining cash flow from a very non-crypto business, which is lift leasing, with a belief that Bitcoin will be the best asset. So we start to see these new players and more corporate entities, different use cases, different clients emerge at the very same time where we see the landscapes of providers likely changing shortly.
Just one follow-up question. Do you have any thoughts about why Sweden and Norway is ahead when it comes to, for instance, the treasury companies? Why this interest in those two countries?
I mean, Norway has a long tradition of high-risk, capital-intense investment. So as Norwegians, like we are in seafood, we are in oil, we are in gas. There's obviously appetite for volatile, capital-intense investment, and well, Bitcoin treasury investment obviously falls into that category. As for Sweden, I think some of the concentration around the Swedish market has to do with Sweden being probably the deepest of the Nordic equity markets. So even though K33 has its head office in Norway, we're still listed in Sweden because we find we've like historically found the Nasdaq First North to be a more liquid and better suited marketplace. So why Norway and Sweden and not the others? I mean, it's not that many, so you should be careful with statistical inference, I think, but that's my 2 cents. It's risk appetite in Norway and the deepness of the capital market in Sweden.
Then to you, Jonas, in Finland, the local providers have a very, very strong position. Why haven't the Baltics the same situation, or are you moving into the Baltics perhaps?
Yeah, I think the Baltics results were very interesting and kind of somehow confirming the idea and what we've been following over the years. So from the Finnish perspective, what we've seen in the history is that, of course, 2018, once we had the WASP regime introduced in the EU, we saw a lot of also project going to Estonia because there was this crypto hub there. Even Aave, the biggest DeFi protocol, they went there because they couldn't get along with the Finnish regulator back then. So there was movement to these hubs, and then it moved to Lithuania. And now I think, as the panelists said, it's basically reversed now. There's only a few companies left in Lithuania, Latvia, and now Estonia has been extremely strict on the CASP licenses. In Finland, I think we've lived a little bit more stable. So we did have something like less than 10 WASPs before the MiCA, and now we have, I think, 5 CASPs. So it has been more stable situation here. Not too much, I would say, international players. It has been very local, as we have on the traditional finance sector as well. But of course, compared to the Baltics, I think now what we see there is that, of course, these hubs, which has been present in the past, they have attracted, these Robinhoods, Revolut type of big platforms who have basically set up their European operations from there. And it has basically gathered around the whole local investor space as well. So it is, I think it's quite mature in that sense, the Baltic market, because you have those big platforms present there. But we haven't seen the same pattern in Finland. So we rarely see these big platforms active in Finland. So hence the local players are very strong here. We see some come and go, but if you look at the numbers, the local markets is extremely strong, and I think we see the same pattern in the most Nordic countries, even though Denmark is an exception there, but even with Norway and Sweden, of course, the ETPs are dominant there, but still with the local issuers and so on. But that's basically first thoughts of the survey results.
Then to you, Erik, I would just underline that what surprised a lot of people regarding the Nordic surveys was that Sweden really moved ahead. I think there's 1.1 million now Swedes that are owning crypto. And you have a market also where you have an FSA, which has been more or less hostile, my words. But you have also then a strong local crypto exchanges and brokers. And you also have this strong ETP industry. So are these the ones that are differentiating at the moment Sweden from the other Nordic countries and from the Baltics?
I would say so. And also to connect a little bit on what Jonas just said, I would say in one way, it's the complete opposite in Sweden than it is in Finland. I just double-checked before. We have 1 approved MiCA license in Sweden. We have 80 passported MiCA licenses in Sweden. And I think we see that now I'm talking not about the ETP market, but about the normal crypto exchanges.
Sorry, did you say 80? As in 80?
Yes. I just double-checked on the authorities' website just before. And I think that says a lot. And just to maybe, sometimes you're wrong with your predictions. Here, I think we were right like 2 years ago when we were looking at this. We saw what the financial authority was doing is like, they will not succeed with getting crypto out of Sweden, but they will succeed of not having as many Swedish actors here. And I think we will see what happens now. Like, I'm still hopeful. But in one way, as the numbers look now, it looks that they are being successful on that front. On the other side, yes, the ETPs are growing, and I think like in the numbers, now I don't recall exactly, that probably like the majority of at least the capital in crypto is likely in ETPs at the moment. And I think like we can come up with a lot of reasons, like why did the numbers grow so much in Sweden this year? I think you alluded to, like maybe there were some wrong calculations previous years, but also like this also statistically significance that like the growth here. I actually think the main part is marketing. Like we've had some actors like Virtune and now also Bybit and others that have just been really getting out the narrative publicly about crypto. And like, of course, these actors have won on it, but every actor has won on it as well. So that's in short what I see. And yeah, and now it's a fighting ground in the Swedish market between, what is it, like 10 exchanges targeting the small Swedish market at the moment. So we'll see how it plays out.
One question there, maybe you are not in the position to comment on it, but your former employer also had taken an initiative to talk to other crypto exchanges in the market. Are we going towards sort of a consolidation, maybe within the Nordics and within the Swedish market, maybe even across the new Nordics?
I can't comment on Goobit specifically, but I think like we all, some in this call also, like the whole industry have been discussing for a long time, like consolidation makes sense on paper. Then it's always harder to really get through, like when does it make sense, like how do we structure it and so on. So we'll see what happens, but I still believe that consolidation makes sense in the Nordic market, but we will see how it plays out.
Maybe we then can move to Stig, because you have a crypto exchange, an OTC in Norway, but you're still exploring different kinds of business opportunities, like in payments, and also you have had some discussions with the Baltic companies. Why are you moving to another market today or tomorrow?
Yeah, so I'm assuming you're aiming at our banking license exploration. Yeah, and that's correct. We have started an application process for a specialized banking license with Latvian authorities. I had a meeting with them this week, actually. And it's several reasons why we're doing it in Latvia, but the main reason is we have had operations in Latvia since we started. We have a core business center there, and our IML operation has been there since the start. And the other is MBX is working a lot with stable coins, and we're launching a Euro and a Polish Zloty stablecoin later this year. Having good connections with Euro payment rails is important for us to basically make it as frictionless as possible, meaning that having a license and operation in a Euro country would be an advantage. And the third is that Norway being a EEA country and not a EU country, we actually, by having a license and operation within the EU, having a foothold there, we get access to bilateral agreements that EU will enter or have entered with external countries.
Okay, what about you guys, Charlotte and Mitch, from your point of view? We have this server which is based on the retail answering the questions, but all these players that we have here, and in addition, we are also now talking about tokenization, we are talking about stable coins. Is the Nordic, is the Baltic eventually together? Are there opportunities for a second round of the crypto industry, sort of? Charlotte?
Yeah, maybe I'll start here shortly. As we had the Latvian focused panel, so I represent, hi everyone, whom I haven't seen before. I guess in this call I represent the Latvian industry more or less in fintech and crypto/blockchain. Right, as it was discussed in the Latvian panel, we have big potential and interest for real world assets. So we have two MiCA licenses in Latvia currently. At least one is crypto exchange. I'm not sure what is the second one representing, and approximately 40 on the way. So I think that's also a good indicator. And I know that's because of amazing collaboration over the past few years across industry, the association, and politicians as well, or let's say the Ministry of Finance. They have been, and the local regulator, of course, as well. So hence it's currently, I wouldn't call it easy to get a license in Latvia, but it's really streamlined, and everyone involved is doing their best to support this license getting in Latvia. And real world asset tokenization is a big topic, I think, purely because we have here in Latvia, as well as in Nordics, we have quite some resources. I guess in Latvia, it's mainly forest plus real estate. So this is where the focus is. And of course, Norway is someone of you, I think Drobion mentioned, right? The oil, the seafood, there are so many things which could be tokenized, and but there is a lack of, I guess, understanding and regulations there. Plus, but still, it's being, the work has been done as we speak. So, and stable coins, as well as the companies are having interest there, and a couple of banks as well, looking at some big moves in the States. So that's the potential I see here in Latvia. Misha, over to you.
Yes, Misha, maybe you have something to add when it comes to payments, stablecoins. Is that the way going forward?
First of all, I would like to say that adoption really depends on reputation of crypto, and also it depends on reputation of platforms that give access to crypto, because people don't want to register on some unknown platform with a bad reputation. So from the statistics and from the data, we see that you guys from Scandinavia have done a nice job with adoption, and we haven't done this good job in Estonia. Although we have one traditional bank, maybe LHV, that offers crypto custody for its customers. So what I think is what Revolut is doing is a really nice thing. It gives the massive adoption, and every bank on this planet should watch what Revolut is doing. And eventually, every bank will be offering crypto to the end users. The more conservative banks we will have in our team, the better will be adoption. And the better the adoption, the more payments will be done in crypto and stablecoins. From the business side, we see nice numbers in Scandinavia, and us being a B2B player, working with merchants, it's a very interesting market to be, because as we saw, we have a lot of people owning crypto, and people want to spend in crypto, buy their new Nike shoes or whatever. So this would be interesting place to test out our business.
And then to Torbjørn, at least in Norway, you have been taking some initiatives related, talk to other banks, talk to asset managers. You have a cooperation or exploration with an asset manager, and you are positioning yourself as a potential partner for the TradFi, if you can define it like that. Is that something that you can also take with you in other Nordic countries and into the Baltics, maybe?
So I think my and our view on how those partnerships would look has changed dramatically, particularly driven by the current interpretation by ESMA that closed loop crypto trading is illegal under MiCA. So through a couple of Q&A answers, they've answered very clearly that they are of the view that if you offer crypto custody, you also have to allow the clients to withdraw that asset on chain. Because the view I used to have was that banks would follow the path that Revolut did first by starting with a closed loop, like for instance Lunar is actually doing it currently out of Denmark. So and then eventually open up. In such a model, it would really make sense to find a partner with whom you work around custody and execution under the hood, but then own much more of the end client relationship initially, build a positive revenue base from a retail offering, and then expand into the more infrastructure like payment use cases over time. Given this, if it stands unchallenged, I mean, there's reason to believe it could be challenged and that the kind of stance this could change. But given that it stands, I think we'll see much more of partnerships where you put the crypto player right next to the bank, not within. Meaning that you would have partnerships where you would ensure that the flow of funds from a corporate bank account into the account when you trade, say, into or out of a stable coin, but at a third party, that is optimized for smoothness, efficient compliance, etc. But that you get a division of labor where the bank finds a partner or the asset manager for that matter, but let that be outside of their own legal entity. The other reason is also, especially, which I've seen kind of firsthand from some discussions, is around DORA. So existing financial institutions, at least in Norway, are not really DORA compliant yet, the Digital Operational Resilience Act. However, they don't have to provide any documentation upfront to the FSA today and prove DORA compliance, unless they expand to add crypto services under the notification rule. Then they would have to actually present what they don't have yet. So they're not kind of, because of the lack of compliance with DORA, they really cannot truly kind of move by doing this notification easily under MiCA, because they wouldn't pass, and just the sheer complexity of how this addition would hit into their existing policies. It creates a nightmare. So this was a long way to say I think the partnerships will happen, but I think that will be outside of the financial institutions with close collaborations for way longer than I thought first when MiCA kind of was rolling out, opening for the notification idea that it should be possible for trad players to kind of bring it in.
What is your view about this, Eric? Because in your new company, you are working on compliance, and so you are seeing what kind of roadmaps that different types of players maybe should follow. How do you view these challenges that Torbjørn is sharing?
Yeah, I agree. First of all, very interesting take, Torbjørn. And I think there's definitely some truth to that. Like, I remember when we started working on DORA, there were a lot of lawyers and others who were like feeling a bit sorry for us at the crypto industry, because we were the first that really had to prove DORA compliance. Like, not the banks, not the larger, but we were the first who actually had to send in documents. Now that's an interesting take. No, but like on the compliance front, and then maybe more focused on the AML front, which is still like on like very relevant now when the banks are moving into it. I think like it's maturing. Like we in the crypto industry, I would say that we have, like on the exchange front, have figured it out, at least on like a risk-based approach type of work, which how you should work. Like we know how to deal with the risks, like we know the blockchain analytics and so on. But now with stablecoins, like the same challenges applies to banks, and they are, at least from my conversations with the larger banks, is that they have still the same mindset as like 3 years ago, at least people in the AML department. So that's a gap that have to close, since now there are people higher up in the banks that are actually pushing stablecoins. So this is a gap that we see, like we want to play a part, like with Report, my new company, but that I see will close in the coming years and maybe months. We will see how fast it goes. But on a high level, then with MiCA, like we see it play out, and I'm generally cautiously optimistic that it will play out positive. But then we'll see how the local market in the Nordic plays out.
Okay, then to you, Stig, because you have used the word crypto bank, I think, before that should be a possible positioning. And then you have to do both banking and crypto. So how are you trying to solve this?
Yeah, I guess you don't have to partner up with a bank if you become a bank yourself. So don't tell Torbjørn. It's for us. It's like we have been very interested in offering basically collateral loans backed by digital assets. This is going to be our core banking product. So we will become a digital asset bank that specialized in offering loans with collateral in digital assets. And like most people on the panel here, we expect that the real world assets that is tokenized will grow largely in the coming years, and being one of the banks that can actually offer a product to the consumers, but also bank to bank, to the bank and their customers, is a position that we're basically taking now.
Okay, to you, Jonas, because you are running a crypto exchange, but I also understand that you are building out your platform and also offering stocks, is it? Or tokenized, or in a separate platform or in an integrated platform? What are your suggested solution to this integration that is happening with the TradFi?
Yeah, that's correct. So we currently offer already traditional cash stocks and ETFs in the platform, like the bigger platforms globally. Not yet tokenized stuff, but we are monitoring that. It has been in the European context. It has been basically just last year, end of last year, we got few issuers who get their base prospectus approved in the EU, so you can actually distribute those to the retail, but they are not actual. On-chain natively issued stuff. They are still certificates, which are debt instruments against the issuer. So in the European context, you cannot really do at the moment natively issued securities outside the pilot regime which we have there, but they are basically non-existent at the moment because it was so restrictive. But I think that we will see growth on that as well once we get the regulation a little bit more developed on that side. But how we see, I agree with the earlier commenters that the traditional wealth managers and banks, they are still looking now a little bit what to do there, and to the extent that if you want to go full force with the offering cryptos as a bank or wealth manager, of course there needs to be a lot of investment in the infrastructure, given that what Björn said, that if you need to do the transfer side of things, you need to build up the whole wallet infrastructure and the custody and so on. It's quite a big project to basically get conviction and approval and resources and investments backing that up. So we also see that it will be with the partnerships and these kind of collaborations, most likely with the TradFi players. Eventually, that has happened in Switzerland to some extent with the crypto native banks and wealth managers offering those services to the traditional banks and so on. But we in Finland, in the Finnish context, we haven't really seen too much movement yet. I think you might be a little bit ahead in Sweden and Norway at the moment when it comes to that development, and at least the discussions that are ongoing, because we have had those discussions over the years and actively, but still it's on that side it looks and feels very conservative still. So but that's of course now with the good thing with ourselves and the other caps in the region, because the TradFi is not yet there competing for the clients on that sense, and then we're still seeing quite a good influx of new clients which are not served by the traditional financial players. So it's a good and bad thing in the same time, basically at the same time. So but that's the Finnish context to the TradFi side of things.
Thank you very much, guys, for discussing these opportunities. And that is interesting when we see it both on the Baltic and the Nordic level, is that regulations are not yet totally clear. There's things happening. There are interpretations by the FSAs in the different countries. And there are different business strategies that are being developed. One on how to offer and how to trade crypto, how you wrap it, but also how to position yourself towards the tokenization, the integration with TradFi, but also the payment industry on stablecoins. So I can imagine that there will be a lot of news also to discuss 1 year from now and see how you guys have positioned yourself during the next year. So thank you very much. And we will then wrap it up with the last panel, which will then be on a more association level and talking more about, so we will keep you, Eric, and we will also get Jakob Mikkel Hansen, as well as Romanas. Yeah, just a minute. I'm not finished here. Just a minute. René should be on stage. Yes, we have. I think that Raido had to leave, so he was supposed to be participating. And now the topic is the industry, the associations, and of course Raido isn't here, but I understood that in Estonia they had a name called Crypto for some years ago, and they had to change it to Estonia Web3 Chamber, I think. And while in some of the other countries you have chosen the name blockchain. Maybe you could start, Jakob. Why is the blockchain the correct name for an association?
Well, it depends what you're trying to achieve. I think the important part here is we are blockchain. Like, we believe in blockchain. Crypto is a part of it. It's often what people think about when they think about the technology, something you can trade, but crypto is often about trading. Also, it's DeFi. For us, it's about the technology. I mean, that's why we started out 10 years ago. I think it's important to have, like, I'm really looking forward to having this talk with you guys, because I think for us, it's really been this discussion about, like, crypto becomes a financial, it becomes a vertical, it becomes, if you want to do financial gains, but I mean, come on, blockchain with the opportunity for transparency, privacy where needed, like it is a horizontal technology. So we really just want to, I mean, we have so many people trying, let's do Web3, let's do Web4, let's do, like, of course you need to follow the trend in some kind of capacity. So for our conference, we're adding AI. But for us, it will always be blockchain and DLT, because it's the underlying technology that we want to push. And then, of course, those trends, stablecoins is now pushing it, right? Of course, you need to follow that. But for us, it's the technology, the horizontal technology layer that's important.
You guys have even cooperated with several UN organizations and other types of organizations trying to promote the blockchain for good. Is that also a way to position the industry away from the scams or whatever that people often think about when you use the crypto word?
So, I mean, there's two ways of looking at it. There's positioning, or it's basically using the technology for something that really makes a difference, right? So I think for us, it's important that I've been lead on the project from our side for now close to 1.5 years. Like, we really want to do a change. Like, this whole, I think a lot of us that have been here for a long time, we fall in love with the technology due to the opportunity for the unbanked, opportunity to do cross-border transaction, and now digital identity, digital wallets. So I think this whole, like, the reason why we are working very closely with them is to push that agenda. And then, of course, it's good for the industry. That's why you mentioned the Blockchain for Good Alliance is sponsored by some of the larger exchanges. So a lot of the large-scale initiative, a lot of the exchanges who have, of course, need to have a good reputation, but all the work that we are doing is around how to do it. And maybe just to add some comments when people talk about blockchain versus crypto, like in Denmark, e-box is where you get all your digital mail. They're now using DIVA, which is digital identity, which is built on blockchain. That means 5.3 million Danes are now going to use blockchain, right? And I think having these discussions, really think about, like, this is actually what it should be done. And in the UN, like the project that we have been part of that's going on a global scale, that's implementing stable coins. Like, that's 7-8% of donation fees that can go directly to the people that actually need it. So that's why we really just want to advocate for blockchain and the technology. When that's said, of course, crypto trading, you need to have it. That's of course extremely important part of it, and of course the financial sector. But that's what we believe in, and we really want to focus on promoting.
That's you, Erik, because Blockchain Sweden was founded 1.5 or 2 years ago, and you chose the Blockchain Sweden name. But you're also right now doing some. You have had a grant from the Swedish research authorities, and what is the purpose of this grant, and what are you going to do with it?
in short, so it's structured in two phases. So the first, which we got a grant for now, is to basically see like what is the Swedish industry doing with blockchain currently, and start discussions with the industry as a whole. And then we're not only talking about the financial industry, but also other type of industries, like everything from Ericsson, Alfa Laval, or like traditional industries. And the second phase will be to make it more concrete, like what can we do and how can the association help to do that. So that's in short the purpose of that project. And then I just want to comment on this blockchain versus Web3 and crypto. Since you got founded like 10 years ago, we got founded, as you said, maybe 2 years ago. So we had like long discussions on what word to use. And we ended up with basically what you said now, Jakob. Like we are believing in the technology, and blockchain is the best word to be used. And then blockchain goes in and out of fashion. Like 2015, that was the coolest thing ever. Also 2017, then everything the trends goes back and forth. But we think blockchain is the right word. Then we still think like crypto is very, very important, and then not to only think about like the speculation front, like what enables stable coins is crypto. Like the same AML challenges that crypto has is when banks are going to implement stable coins on public blockchains, it's still crypto transactions. So I think it's not that. I think it's important to, because this narrative of like blockchain, not crypto, I think is getting a bit outdated, at least in my opinion. We've had discussions about this, but still like blockchain is the overarching word because of other implementation areas. For example, these we are doing together with Vinnova. No.
Okay, and then you Rennis, in Latvia, what are your focus? And for instance, this large event, Unblock, what kind of people were there and what kind of topics was focused on that event?
Yes, just finishing up maybe the conversation what colleagues started around the naming of the association. Latvian Blockchain Association was created 9 years ago. So as well, we thought that the underlying technology is more important than some of the aspects, crypto or some other use cases. If we use it for loyalty, if we use it for rebuilding the state land registry or something like that, the use cases can be different and many, but the underlying technology and its benefits stands. So that's why the name as well. Regarding Unblock, yes, we just hosted Unblock last week. It's been exactly 1 week ago. The best part was that we were able to gather communities from Nordics, from Baltic states, from Poland, and from overall 40 different countries. We had around 2,200 attendees and around 700 companies represented there. So we believe quite good result, and then overall the conference was a bit of a mix between the regulation side of things, between the business side of things. On business side of things, we specifically focused on two hot topics, which is adoption of stable coins, and the other one real world assets, tokenization of real world assets. We are also moving forward with the legislation changes to enable the tokenization in an easier and 21st century manner, not how it's done currently in most of the EU countries. So that's quite important. So we also brought in the regulator, the Central Bank of Latvia. We brought in some corporates that are looking into adopting crypto or blockchain use cases, and we obviously had discussions about current legal topics that are really shaping today's world, including adoption of DORA regulation, adoption of MiCA. And then many other things that are super important for the industry, but also abroad.
And how do you see these topics or the focus in Lithuania, Romanos?
Yeah, so in Lithuania, our major association is a crypto and even crypto economy organization, it is called. Historically, we had a number of associations popping up, on the early days of crypto, purely on an enthusiast-based and physical persons, because in Lithuania, you can establish the association with just 3 natural persons among them, and that's it. So there was a lot of, chaos on the market, but the crypto economy organization is now taking the lead with the new, incoming interest from the institutional players on the clarity on regulation, on dialogue with regulators, because regulators don't speak with individual players, they speak with some industry bodies. So that turned the crypto economy organization from the individual enthusiast-based club into the intercorporate, supported association. Also, we have a strong support from the FinTech Hub, which is now FinTech Association in Lithuania, because a lot of narratives about the regulation and licensing and DORA compliance and cybersecurity in finance, and also payment aspect of stable coins is within their domain of professional competences, and we have a lot of knowledge sharing. And our format is less annual event, but more like monthly catch-ups, and we call them crypto talks. Also, the Rocket, like one of the incubators, here for the fintechs, they also have a very good ecosystem and the basis for the discussion. And of course, we look further into the changing of the landscape with more and more licensed entities, coming into the association. So I guess that's the trend in Lithuania.
We are closing to wrapping up this high interesting debates and surveys that we have been sharing today. And perhaps 1 year from now, there will be another Nordic crypto adoption survey and week, and maybe there will be another Baltic survey and week, and all these things that are happening and changing the industry. How can that be solved? Will it still be important to know about the retail audience, what they are doing? Vetle, do you have any thoughts about the next year's survey?
Yeah, so the retail interest will always be an important factor for cryptocurrencies as a performing sector. It's predominantly grassroots led, but it's also a lot of big institutional developments happening globally right now as we speak. But I believe what happens to retail ownership rates over the next year will be highly sensitive to how crypto markets behave. That's all the historic evidence point in that direction. If the crypto markets are booming, more new people buy crypto, and then if it continues to move in a sluggish direction or consolidate or even move lower, then I suspect that ownership rates will be fairly constant. But what is remarkable from this survey and also our survey last year is that 1 in 10 adults in both the Nordics and the Baltics owns cryptocurrency. That's a huge number, huge penetration. In Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, more people aged 50 or 40 and younger owns crypto than have direct investments in equities. So none of these figures should just be shrugged off as, okay, this is 10%, 8%, 13%. This is a material and important size, and it's something we shouldn't underestimate when we look at these data points.
What do you think about this, Magnus? Will there be 2 roads ahead? One which more or less will be hidden for the consumers? I mean, we don't make clubs around TCP IP anymore. If there was that at any time, will there be 2 roads? One that the industry is building when it will not be that visible, and the other one will be as an investment vehicle.
Well, I'm sure you can find a SMTP club or a HTTP club somewhere for the niches, but you're quite right there, Morten, that I also believe that in general, we will move further and further through all the points that we have discussed through this whole week and also during the Nordic Adoption Week, i.e. call it the basis of the premises that has been built by the de facto crypto industry, who has developed, call it the technical solutions that the financial industry is, call it capitalizing and facilitating on right now. So of course, there's a strong correlation between them. And I also believe that, just like Vetle said, it's difficult to predict 1 year ahead in time towards whatever the market price or the adoption will be. I think what we can see rather from, call it the consistency of the data that we specifically have from Norway, where we have the most years going back in time, is that we see a rising trending curve where we can point out, call it the volatility years clearly. That is not so clearly in the other countries that we have recently carried out the survey on. And that's the important thing here. We see the growth, and I think it also will depend a lot on, call it the financial industry in itself. They are at a very early start, but I don't think, but I know that we will see more and more of these actors coming up now, where we recently just saw this week where MasterCard is officially acquiring stablecoin companies, etc. We have Paxos establishing them from the US side in Finland, building out their Amina activity there. So there's lots of tractions going further, and also into the totality of the ecosystem that, of course, not something coming overnight, but the decentralized finance railways in itself, like Ava from Finland, for example, who has now an off-ramping company in Ireland with a MiCA license already. All of these things connected together will lead to adoption. And then it all depends on, call it, which of the classic financial infrastructure providers who will not necessarily open up a ATM machine where buy your Bitcoins with Nordea or DNB or whatever logo it is on, but rather on the services there. Then we will see, call it the mass adoption coming. We haven't come yet to the point where, call it the grandmas and taxi drivers yet are there. And that will guaranteed come, but it will take some time. And during that time, like you said, Morten, I'm totally convinced that lots of these things will happen on the back room. But having said that, we shouldn't then underestimate also, like we've seen from the survey, that lots of crypto owners today, in terms of the numbers of owners, are persons who own a very small percentage of crypto and don't use the advanced functionalities. Hence, we could see in totally volumes that if just 1 or 2 financial actors move in, that could increase significantly and also lead to, call it, more adoption just based upon the news in general that you will see there. So I'm very positive towards the market. However, when you look into one-to-one on consumers, it's not difficult, but it's impossible to predict any, call it, direction towards it. But I still believe that we will see an overall growth and that the trend will follow like we have seen, volatility, but still growth on all areas, as de facto tokenization in itself is becoming a basis to the infrastructure of the financial railways.
Yes. Thank you very much, all guys, for the really interesting talks and discussions that we have had. And now we are wrapping up. And as I understand, that the reports will be available either today or tomorrow. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
We are working extensively on them, Morten, so we would just like to include the latest updates and everything there to be ensured, but expect them late evening or tomorrow at latest where you can find them, and also that you, of course, can watch all the replays here at the streams that we have commenced during the week.
Yes, the recordings are available both on the LinkedIn events. It's also available on YouTube and on the landing page on Kaupr. And there also articles and the reports will be uploaded. And as I understand, also the reports will be uploaded by K33 on their homepage. And even Nordic Blockchain Association will also share important findings within their communities and platforms. So we are looking forward already to next year and to see what will happen in between. And we thank you very, very much and have a nice end of the week.